Hello, Sea Lions and Dolphins. Another day, another literacy lesson. We're doing the 5 W's today. So we did headlines yesterday to start our newspaper reports work. Today we are doing the 5 W's. Now they are things you'll have come across before because they're used in a wide variety of different genres of writing and reading, but they're really, really important in this, which is why we're covering them in newspaper reports, because it's really important you do use them, or use the vast majority of them. There are occasions where one of them maybe doesn't make sense to be used, but 99.9999% all of them should be used in every newspaper report. So I'll share my Active Inspire with you, and we'll get talking about these 5 W's, what they are, how to use them, where to use them, things like that. So the 5 W's, what are the 5 W's? We're going to cover that. We're going to cover how and when they should be used and why we use them, because obviously it's important. Like with everything we do, really, you have to know why you're going to use it, not just how, because otherwise it becomes a bit pointless, doesn't it? If you're told to do something but not why you should do it, it becomes a little bit pointless, really. So as usual, we've got a couple of newspaper headlines here from yesterday and sort of the layout of what a newspaper might look like. So what are the 5 W's? So the 5 W's are what, why, when, who, and where. Obviously, you can say them in whatever order you like. So these are the things we're looking to use in our newspaper reports. So these are all the key pieces of information that tell people about the news story and give them detail, because the headline, as we talked about yesterday, is to grab people's attention. It's to be attention grabbing and hard hitting, so people pick up the newspaper. Once they've picked it up, if the article doesn't actually give them any more detail, it's pointless, and the headline will have at least got them to pick up the paper, but they're not going to pick it up again. So it's vital that we give people detail about what happened, why it happened, when it happened, who it happened to, or who was involved, and where it happened. So sort of what we've just covered, why we would use them. So we need to use them to give the reader more information to understand the story. The headlines grab attention, but we need to add detail. And actually, the most detailed reports are often the ones that are the most popular. The ones who can offer the most detail, give you the clearest picture of what happened, are the ones that are the most popular. So watch how this story changes with the 5 W's. So the original headline to this story I've made up, I've created this, is England win match, ! All in bold. So it's not underlined, but it is a title that, or a headline that we would have seen a lot of yesterday, isn't it? Very short, 3 words, all bold, ! Hard hitting, England win match. So if you are English and you're interested in sport, that headline might well grab your attention. And even if you're not English, you might think, oh, I wonder what they've won. So that is attention grabbing straight away. It sounds very positive, doesn't it? England have won a match. That's positive. But it doesn't give a lot of detail, and this is why the 5 W's are needed. We know England have won a match, but we don't know what sport it is, where it was, why they were playing, who was playing, or any of these extra bits of detail. We just know they won a match of some variety. You might not even care about the particular sport. You might pick up the newspaper and find out it's about hockey, and you're not bothered about hockey, and therefore the headline has sort of misled you a little bit. And this is why the headlines are short, because they want to grab as many people's attention as possible. Because if it said England win hockey match, anyone who doesn't like hockey isn't going to read it. Whereas it just says England win match, and you like any sport to do with England, you might just pick it up to see what it's about. So that's the headlines job. But once we get to 5 W's, it's all about detail. It's all about being specific. Okay, so we're going to turn on to the next page, and we're going to see how England win match changes. Okay, so England win match is the headline. Where? It's at home at Wembley. Who? It was against New Zealand. When? The previous night, so the night before the newspaper came out. Why? It was a warm-up game for a tournament and they won 2-1. What was it? It was a friendly football match building up to the World Cup. So now this headline changes significantly. Now you have these details, and I haven't even given you that much detail, really. You know, you've seen newspapers, they've got 4 or 5 paragraphs about one story sometimes. So there's lots of information. I've just given you some very brief information using the 5 W's, but already that headline has changed completely, because now we know England were at home, which made the match easier. So it's not as impressive that they won. They only just beat a nation not known football 2-1. So New Zealand are much better at cricket and rugby. They're the sports they're often known for. Their football team is not very good. It's quite lowly ranked in the world. So again, it makes the win a bit less impressive, doesn't it? That you've only played New Zealand and you only won 2-1, even though you were at home. It was only a friendly match, so it didn't matter that much. It wasn't a qualifier for a tournament or a match at a tournament, which would have made it more impressive. And so it sort of changes the tone of the article. If I pick that up and saw England win a match, I'd think, oh, great, what have we won? Okay, well, we were at home against New Zealand. We only beat them 2-1, and it was a friendly that doesn't really count for anything. Okay, cool. And I wouldn't be that bothered. I'd think, oh, okay, well, we won, great, but actually we should have won probably 4-5-0 at home. And even then, it wasn't a qualifier for a World Cup or something. If it is said away in New Zealand, sorry, not in New Zealand, it's said away in Brazil in a World Cup and we won 3-0, all of a sudden it would be much more impressive. So you can see how the tone of the article actually changes once you've got past the headline. That's often what happens when you read more detail. You actually get more information about the story and your opinion changes. So the headlines grab your attention. It's not to give you lots of information. It's not to tell you the whole story. It's just to get your attention. The 5 Ws give you the detail. They give you the rounded picture of the story and actually are what set the tone for what actually happened. Okay, so when and how should they be used? So the 5 Ws should actually be used throughout a newspaper report. So they can be used beginning, middle, end. However, they can be used as a subheading. They could be used as a caption under a picture, because also newspapers often and magazines often have pictures. However, it's important to get them in early so the reader knows the facts early on. Usually you have your headline, you usually have a paragraph or two that gives you all the facts, all the 5 Ws, what happened, where was it, when was it, and then you usually have another couple of paragraphs which either expand on these or start to give eyewitness accounts, or which we'll talk about tomorrow with quotes, or start to give the newspaper writer's opinion on the matter. But the first couple of paragraphs usually cover the 5 Ws. So they can be throughout, but you need to get them in early. So I've written an example. So my opening paragraph, which is not very long, as you can see, actually gets all of the 5 Ws in and actually gets who in twice. So it shows that even in a short period, you can actually get a lot of information in. You don't have to wedge it all in quite as quickly as I have. But it shows it can be done. So England, this is one of the who's, were victorious in a friendly match, that's the what, against a much poorer New Zealand, again who, side last night, which is the when, at Wembley, which is the where. It was a tough fought game and England struggled more than most would have expected. This was their last warm-up game before the World Cup. Why? They were having a warm-up game before the World Cup. So that little paragraph tells you who was playing, where they were playing, when they were playing, what they were playing, and why they were playing it, all in one paragraph. Like I said, you don't have to necessarily fit it all into one paragraph at the top, but certainly 2 maximum. It all needs to be in there. So obviously, I've just put a little note at the bottom. Obviously, I've put brackets with the 5 Ws in as an example for you. So you don't need to do that in your work. Of course, we'll find them for you. So your task today is to write 2 paragraphs. So that opening part of the newspaper, you did your headlines yesterday about the space about Angel Dragon. Now you're writing the first 2 paragraphs of the same report. Imagine it's the same newspaper report. Write 2 paragraphs that give all of the 5 Ws. You can use them more than once or just once, but they all need to be in there to give more detail about the following headline. Space alien lands on Earth. So that's your headline. So I'd write that at the top of your exercise book page or on your piece of paper, whatever you're doing on space, or on your computer if you're doing it on Word. Space alien lands on Earth, underline, exclamation mark, and then write your first 2 paragraphs underneath telling you all of the 5 Ws. Now, I would look back through this video if that'll help you do your writing. I'd also potentially re-listen to the latest chapter of the Iron Man. You can go back to Monday Sway to do that, or it should be hopefully linked on this Sway. If not, go back to Monday's Sway, or you can go to YouTube and listen to the latest chapter on there as well, because that will also give you, remind you and give you some details about what did happen in the story, so you can do those 5 Ws. But if you think about the where, the space Angel Dragon lands on Australia, so that would be the where. The what, it's an alien, massive alien who's attacking Earth. Why? Then the why is an interesting one because we don't necessarily know at this point really why it's happening. But obviously you can have a think, well, why do you think it's happening? And you can put the why in. When it's happened today or yesterday, whenever you want to set your newspaper headline. So you need to write a couple of paragraphs. They should be quite lengthy as well, not 5-6 lines each, about the 5 Ws, about that headline, Space Alien Lands on Earth. That is your task today. As always, please email us if you have any problems, or please email us with your work when you've finished. We would love to see it. So that is your task today. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to be back tomorrow for literacy, and we're going to be doing quote work. So when you might be a newspaper reporter and you might be at the scene of an incident, sometimes you talk to eyewitnesses, and that means people who actually saw what happened. That's why they're an eyewitness. And you get quotes from them about what happened and how to put those into your newspaper reports as well. But we'll cover that tomorrow, and we'll keep building up to the following week where you'll be doing your newspaper reports in full. Have a nice day, and I will see you after break.